Okay, quick test. Can you tell what the mistake is in this clip? If it's obvious to you, then you are at least a decently smart basketball player. If not, then I think this video will be really helpful to increase your basketball intelligence. My goal is to take you from being a coach's worst nightmare to their dream player. By the way, the mistake is if Bargnani had just held the ball, the Bucks would have had to foul and the Knicks could have ended the game. Although I respect the confidence by Bargnani. Quickly, let me know in the comments if you think you are a high IQ player. When I'm watching a basketball game, the thing that exposes low IQ players the fastest is spacing. Meaning if a player has no idea how to space on the court, that's a clear red flag. For instance, guards who are spaced inside the three-point line on offense stick out like a sore thumb. This isn't the 70s where there were always 4 or 5 players inside the arc. You just look funny if you do this in 2025. Wow, it's 2025? That is crazy. At Colgate, we were taught to not only space outside the three-point line, but to actually be a few feet behind it. This gives even more room for teammates to drive or plays to develop, and you can always meet the ball closer to the line for a shot. Or to help even more with spacing, just become a player who can shoot deep threes. Then you really open up the court. The point is, you never want to be in the way on offense. Instead, be as far into the corner as possible. Be a few feet behind the three-point line on the wings and the top. Allow the offense room to breathe. Speaking of corners, have an awareness of your feet on the sidelines. This is frustrating for me because just this year, I've been called for stepping out like 2 or 3 times, and I gotta tell you, when the ref blows that whistle, it's very embarrassing. Spatial awareness on the court is a clear sign of a high IQ player. And this might just be a personal thing, but shooting with a foot on the line, meaning a long 2 instead of a 3, really bugs me. At Colgate, our coaches called this the worst shot in basketball, and it's been drilled in my head to always be behind the line. For some reason in Europe, it's less talked about, and I'm constantly seeing guys shooting long 2s instead of 3s. Just have some awareness, move a step back, and get that extra point. Believe me, it's gonna suck in a game when you start celebrating a 3, and then you look at the ref and they're only holding up 2 fingers. I'm always talking about how fast breaks are an awesome way to get easy buckets, but that's only if you actually know how to take advantage of them. So this also has to do with spacing. If I see a player running next to their teammate on a fast break, I'm telling you guys, I immediately think they don't understand the game. So let's learn 2 simple rules on the fast break. First, space away from your teammates. On a simple advantage break, you actually want to round your route so you put more space in between yourself and the ball. And second, pass the ball ahead of you. Dribbling can sometimes kill advantage situations, so move it ahead, then when the defender commits to the ball, you will get it back. Also with playing fast, low IQ players play slow. I see this all the time. A player gets a rebound, and if they just looked up the court instead of dribbling right away, they would realize there was an opportunity for an easy layup. When you get a rebound, you should immediately go into QB mode. I got really good at this last year playing with my insanely fast teammate Booth, and we connected with a bunch of easy layups just because I looked up when I got the rebound. Now, bigs can do this too. Jokic just proved this, but most centers are going to be uncomfortable making a decision like that, which is why high IQ guards go get the ball from their bigs immediately after a rebound so they can start the break. Either literally go grab the ball from your big's hands, or get in a spot where they can easily find you so you can start pushing the ball. I have played with guards who love pushing the ball up the court, and others who like walking it up and getting into a set play. I bet you can guess who is more fun to play with. You can also still push the ball off of made baskets. Coach Langle at Colgate always told me to never take the ball out under the basket, which I thought was like the most obvious thing ever. Like, come on, coach, I'm not gonna throw the ball into the backboard. Well, I was watching a youth game the other day in Belgium, and this kid started winding up for a beautiful full court Hail Mary from under the basket. The only issue, the ball smacked into the backboard and came right back at him. Full court passes from out of bounds will be there, especially against the press, so just move a few feet to the side so you don't look like an idiot. Let's talk about some things that will almost certainly have your coach pulling their hair out if you do during a game. You might have heard people talk about time and score situations. Low IQ players tend to have a lack of awareness of game flow, like how much time is left in a quarter, half, or game, or what the score is during important moments. So some basic mistakes, similar to what we saw at the beginning of this video, shooting at the wrong time. There are a few rules here. If you can take the last shot of a quarter or half, you need to do it so that the other team doesn't have an opportunity to score. The rule of thumb here is to shoot at the earliest with about 5 seconds left. By the time the other team gets a rebound, they shouldn't have enough time to get a shot off. Now, if you play with a shot clock, there are also 2-for-1 situations. I'm a fan of taking a 2-for-1, meaning putting your team in a position to get 2 shots up while the other team only gets 1. Let's say you play with a 30-second shot clock. If you shoot with 45 seconds left, then you are basically guaranteed to get another possession before the buzzer sounds. This means even if that first shot might be slightly more difficult than normal, it is still worth it to take it because you will be getting the ball back again later. Not every coach believes in these 2-for-1 situations, so keep that in mind, but again, I like to take advantage of them. Now, don't be that guy that doesn't know the score of a game. There is a reason J.R. Smith is the thumbnail of this video, as much as I love the guy. Remember game 1 of the 2018 NBA Finals? J.R. got an offensive rebound and had no idea what the score was, and the Cavs lost the game in overtime. Know if you're down, the score is tied, or you need a 2 versus a 3 at the end of a game. I asked a few of my past coaches for some help making this video. There was one thing in particular that annoyed almost all of them. When they draw up a play during a timeout and then the team gets on the court and one guy doesn't know what they're doing because they weren't paying attention. So having a high IQ also means being able to pay attention, being able to execute what the coach is asking. Not only that, but it's incredibly frustrating for your teammates when everyone else knows what they're doing and you are in the wrong spot or weren't listening in the huddle. Don't be that guy. Okay, a lot of what I've talked about so far is pretty basic stuff, meaning that I believe every player at basically every level should be able to do it consistently. Now let's look at some moments that happen over a course of a game that, if you can read correctly, will really separate you from your peers. So can you adapt over the course of a single game? High IQ players can usually get a handle on how the refs are calling a game from the jump. Are they not calling many fouls and letting both teams play physically? Great, then you can get away with more on the defensive end. Are they calling every little foul? Fair enough, you have to adjust and realize you may need to be more careful. I've gotten in foul trouble more this year than probably ever before. In fact, when my parents were visiting me over Christmas, the first game they came to, I picked up 2 fouls in the first quarter and had to sit most of the rest of the first half. Not ideal if your parents come to Belgium to watch you play. Now, some of my foul trouble is a bit outside of my control based on how we play this year, but you need to have a sense of how many fouls you have and adjust the way you play based on that. If you're an important player for your team, you can't do much to help from the bench. In general, I see so many silly fouls, like stupidly reaching on drives. I make this mistake sometimes too. We will defend a play really well, but for some reason at the last second, me or one of my teammates will reach in and send them to the line. It's in my nature to go for those steals, but most of the time it's not worth it. And please don't pick up fouls 90 feet from the basket. Unless you only play like 10 minutes a game and it's your job to get out there and be physical as hell in your time on the court, I'm telling you, it's not worth it to pick up a cheap foul like that. I see this a lot when a player turns the ball over and then out of frustration goes for a steal and gets a foul. A big sign of a low IQ player is compounding mistakes, meaning you turn the ball over and instead of just getting back on defense and trying to get a stop to make up for the mistake, you're pissed off, so you reach and either get beat or get a foul. This turns one mistake into 2 mistakes, and you go from just having a turnover to sitting on the bench. I really want to stress that players with high level awareness immediately stand out to me, especially if I'm watching a high school game. For instance, if the defense switches a ball screen and you immediately realize there's a mismatch on the court, my first thought is, okay, that kid knows how to play. Even at the pro level, there are a lot of players who don't notice these things. Whether the mismatch is inside with the big or the guard can attack the slower center, the faster you take advantage of it, the better the chance at scoring. So first off is noticing a mismatch. The next level is knowing how to create mismatches on every single possession. Now that's where you really begin to dominate lower levels of basketball. Also, as a shooter, it's really nice to have teammates who know when you are hot. Like if I have made 2 threes in a row, I'm probably feeling pretty good with my shot. Notice when your teammates are feeling it, or if there's a matchup on the court that can be exploited because of a weaker defender. Also, on the flip side, the honest truth is we all have teammates that probably shouldn't get the ball in certain situations. You should have an understanding of this too. Don't throw your center the ball at half court in transition. If they turn it over, that's on you as much as them. Just because your teammate is posting up doesn't always mean they should get the ball. Kids can be delusional about their skill set. Be that floor leader that knows the strengths and weaknesses of their teammates. And of course, you need to have an awareness of the other team's players too. In college and now as a pro, we have scouting reports. This makes it pretty simple in terms of knowing how to guard the other team, although we still of course make mistakes. A lot of you probably don't get a scouting report. I don't think we had many when I was in high school. That's okay. After the first few minutes of a game, you should be able to get an idea of who the shooters are, who the drivers are, who likes to cut, who can't play defense, know the shooters you need to close out hard to, and who you can give more space to. A few other random ones. In defensive transition, don't just run directly to the guy you are supposed to be guarding. There are no matchups in transition, so you might have to switch onto another player. If you just blindly go to your man, you might leave another player wide open that you should have picked up. Not boxing out is a big one for me. Specifically, not boxing out on free throws. This is another one that I promise you drives coaches mad. I still have PTSD from losing losing a high school game on a missed free throw box out. So I feel like that's one mistake I'll never make again. Smart players don't overhelp on drives, they stunt and get back. Overhelping gives up wide open threes, and as you might have guessed, this will earn you a spot on the bench. Especially overhelping off the corner. Yeah, just don't do that. And finally, communication. I mean, part of the reason that Draymond stands out as a really high IQ player, and especially defender, is that he's constantly talking. I always say that talking is the best way to stand out because it literally draws attention to you. But it's also a clear sign of a high IQ player who knows what's going on all over the court. I hope this video was eye-opening to you. There are countless other little things that I didn't touch on that smart players do. But the more you watch higher level basketball, I believe the more your IQ will grow. And don't just watch the ball, watch how players cut and space, how they defend off the ball, how they run in transition. This is a process. I mean, I'm still learning new things all the time when it comes to basketball. Also a reminder, you can apply today for the Hacking Hoops community, a place where hoopers are coming together to learn and grow. More info in this video's description. And if you need a wake-up call, watch this video on brutally honest basketball advice every hooper needs to hear. Welcome to 2025. Let's have a great year, and I'll talk to you soon.